Dear students, I welcome you to this lecture. Initially, we will try to understand the concept of intelligence, multifactor theory of intelligence as given by E.L. Thorndike. Then we will be trying to understand different types of intelligences as given by Thorndike, and then we will try to understand the different attributes of intelligence given by E.L. Thorndike. Students, the term intelligence is being used synonymously with so many terms like ability, talent, capacity, competency, and many more. So far as the dictionary of psychology is concerned, it is defined there as intelligence refers to the ability to function effectively with problems, whereas intellect refers to the rational thought functions of the human mind. Intelligence is a general ability of performing an activity. It is a global capacity which is demonstrated in a wide variety of activities: learning, problem solving, adaptations, abstract thinking, grasping and comprehending, making comparisons, etc. In popular understanding, intelligence means mental abilities enabling one to think rationally, learn readily, act purposefully, and deal effectively with one's environment. In psychological testing, it is a term that has been given many different technical meanings concerned with mental abilities such as verbal reasoning, quantitative thinking, abstract analysis, manipulation of geometric shapes, recognition of similarities and differences between pictured objects. Psychologists generally agree that intelligence consists of three general classes of skills or abilities, which are: number one, adapting to new situations and changing task demands; number two, learning or profiting optimally from experience or training; and the third one, thinking abstractly using symbols and concepts. Psychologists have been concerned with the knowledge regarding the structure of intelligence. They did make an analysis in their efforts to determine its underlying factors, components, or elements. This has been done not only for a better theoretical understanding of this complex process, but also to learn what should be the rationale for the construction and development of mental tests. Such attempts at trying to understand the structure of intelligence are also known as theories of intelligence. The 20th century produced three major theories on intelligence. The first, proposed by Charles Spearman in 1904, acknowledged that there are different types of intelligences, but argued that they are all correlated if people do well on some sections of an IQ test. They tend to do well on all of them, and vice versa. So Spearman argued for a general intelligence factor called G, which remains controversial to this very day. Decades later, Harvard psychologist Howard Gardner revised this notion with his theory of multiple intelligences. This theory set forth 8 distinct types of intelligence and claimed that there need be no correlation among them. To him, a person could possess a strong emotional intelligence without being gifted analytically. Later in 1985, Robert Sternberg put forward his triarchic theory of intelligence, which argued that previous definitions of intelligence are too narrow because they are based solely on intelligences that can be assessed in IQ test. Instead, Sternberg believes that types of intelligences are broken down into three subsets. It is analytic, creative, and practical. Now, let us go through the anarchic theory or multifactor theory of intelligence as given by Edward Lee Thorndike. E.L. Thorndike, who was an American psychologist, propounded this theory in 1920. He, as a behaviorist, thought of mental acts as constituted of minute elements operating together. E.L. Thorndike thought that intelligence was neither a unitary quality nor a composed of two factors of Charles Edward Spearman or group factors as given by Louis Leon Thurston. He opposed the theory of general intelligence by saying that there are specific stimuli and specific mental responses. Intelligence is nothing more than potential specific connections between these stimuli and responses. Differences of intelligence among people are due to the different number of such connections in the neurological system. Intelligence is said to be constituted of a multitude of separate factors or elements, each one being a minute element of ability. Any intellectual activity is dependent upon a great number of these minute factors operating together. Since this theory considers intelligence as a combination of numerous separate elements of factors, each one being a minute element of an ability, it is also known as atomic theory of intelligence. It can be stated that intelligence is the sum total of all the specific capacities with regard to every separate act. Intelligence is a host of highly independent factors. Terming it differently, Edward Lee Thorndike assumes that intelligence is in fact a composed of various abilities, and hence the assumption of G factor is a non-existent concept. E.L. Thorndike's theory is also known as synthetic theory of intelligence because, according to this theory, intelligence is a combination or synthesis of multiple ability factors. Clarifying his position, Edward Lee Thorndike has stated in his famous book Educational Psychology that the mind is a host of highly particularized and independent faculties. Intelligence, according to him, is the sum total of various such smaller independent faculties, and each such faculty is related to some kind of cognitive functions, and intelligence, as we measure and describe, is a synthesis of all such smaller abilities. The theory maintains that from a man's ability to do one kind of work, we can infer absolutely nothing as to his ability to do another kind of works. If a boy is good in literature, we can judge absolutely nothing about his ability to study chemistry, even in scientific subjects, if they are unrelated to each other. From one's ability to do well in one subject, one can say nothing whether in another subject he would do equally well or not. As regards intercorrelations between different factors of intelligence, Thorndike assumes that this correlation owes mainly to commonalities of abilities. To understand it, let us take an example. Suppose there are two tasks, task A and task B. Performance of task A requires the abilities 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10 and 13, while task B involves abilities 2, 3, 6, 7, 9 and 10. Now, since certain abilities For example, 3, 7 and 10 are commonly involved in both the tasks. Possibilities of high correlations between the two exist. As the number of common abilities is increased, higher intercorrelations may be obtained. E.L. Thorndike believes that in almost every intellectual task, some of the abilities are common, and this causes the intercorrelations between different subtests of an intelligence test. Therefore, if performances on any two intellectual activities are positively related, it is due to the number of common elements involved in the two activities. If two types of mental activities A and B are more highly correlated than are A and C, the reason, according to the multifactor theory, would be that the first pair has more elements in common than does the second pair. In short, the degree of relationship of a pair of tasks is in direct proportion to the number of common elements involved in the tasks. According to this theory, then there is really no such factor as general intelligence. There are only many highly specific acts, the number of such depending upon how refined a classification we might wish to make and are capable of making. To his atomistic theory, he adds, however, that certain mental activities have so many of their elements in common that it is useful to classify these tasks into separate groups to which special names are given. For example, verbal meaning, arithmetical reasoning, comprehension, visual perception of a relationship, and others. Consequently, in constructing a mental test, Thorndike found that his atomistic theory and multitude of minute elements of ability are of less practical significance than the conception that many of them operate together in any situation demanding intelligence. That is, certain factors could be grouped together for purposes of measurement. Now, students, let us go through the attributes of intelligence as proposed by E.L. Thorndike. There are 4 attributes of intelligence according to Thorndike. First, it is level. This level refers to the difficulty of a task that can be removed by using intelligence. If different tasks are arranged in increasing difficulty order, then the height that a person can attain determines his level of intelligence. Is a kind of power test. Number 2, range. Range refers to the number of tasks of the same difficulty value that a person can do in a certain period of time. Theoretically, an individual possessing a certain level of intelligence should be able to solve the whole range of tasks at a given level. It is a kind of speed test. Range and level cannot be completely isolated from each other. We cannot measure range without altitude, that is level, and vice versa. Number 3, area. Area refers to the total numbers of situations at each level to which the individual is able to respond. Area is the summation of all ranges at each level of intelligence. So, area is equal to level into range. Number 4, speed. Speed refers to the rapidity with which an individual can respond to a test items. Speed and level are positively correlated. It is different from range in the sense that no specific time is given here to complete a task. Every intelligence test should consist of these 4 attributes. Students, now let us see the famous CAVD test of Thorndike. Thorndike has developed a test of intelligence called CAVD test, designed to measure ability to deal with abstractions. This test includes 4 simple abilities, namely C for completion, that is sentence completion ability, A for arithmetic, that is arithmetical reasoning, V vocabulary ability, and D, that is direction, ability to understand direction or following of the directions. Students, it's not claimed by Thorndike that these 4 sets of items encompass the entire range of abstract intelligence. It is assumed by E.L. Thorndike that his test tries to test almost all of the abstract intelligence. For every significant correlation is found in mental activities of these 4 parts. It may, however, be noted that Thorndike does not claim that the test includes items pertaining to all aspects of intelligence. Now, let us go through the types of intelligence as proposed by E.L. Thorndike. According to Thorndike, intelligence is of 3 kinds: mechanical, abstract, and social. Thorndike is of the view that intelligence does not consist of general and specific abilities only, but it includes several abilities like attention, retention, memory, recognition, organizing capacity, deductive and inductive reasoning, and capacity of learning and knowledge, etc. These are all necessary aspects of intelligence. According to him, intellectual work is controlled by a complex nervous system, and the nervous system works in so many divergent ways that it cannot be considered as a sum total of general ability and several specific abilities. E.L. Thorndike has classified intelligence into 3 main categories, namely social intelligence, concrete intelligence, and abstract intelligence. So far as the social intelligence is concerned, it is the ability of an individual to deal effectively and efficiently with his social and cultural environment. Social intelligence is revealed when a person is able to establish and develop desirable social relations in conformity with his social and cultural norms. Terming it differently, social intelligence means the ability of an individual to react to social situations of his or her daily life. Social intelligence is possessed by those people who are able to handle people well and also have the ability to make friends easily and understand human relations. Adequate adjustment in social situations is the index of social intelligence. We can say that social intelligence is the capability to effectively navigate and negotiate complex social relationships and environments. The original definition by Edward Lee Thorndike in 1920 is the ability to understand and manage men and women and girls to act wisely in human relations. It is equivalent to interpersonal intelligence, one of the types of intelligence identified by Howard Gardner in his theory of multiple intelligences. According to Saint Foligno, social intelligence is a person's competence to optimally understand one's environment and react appropriately for socially successful conduct. Social intelligence is closely related to cognition and emotional intelligence. Research psychologists studying social cognition and social neuroscience have discovered many principles which human social intelligence operates. More recently, popular science writer Daniel Goleman has drawn on social neuroscience research to propose that social intelligence is made up of social awareness, including empathy, attunement, empathic accuracy, and social cognition, and social facility, including synchrony, self-presentation, influence, and concern. Goldman's research indicates that our social relationships have a direct effect on our physical health, and the deeper the relationship, the deeper the impact. Effects include blood flow, breathing, mood such as depression, and weakening of the immune system. A socially intelligent person understands people's thoughts, feelings, and intentions well, is good at dealing with people, has extensive knowledge of rules and norms in human relations, is good at taking the perspective of other people, adapts well in social situations, and is warm and caring, and is open to new experiences, ideas, and values. Now, concrete intelligence. It is the ability to understand and manipulate physical objects. It is the ability to understand and deal with things as in skilled trades or scientific appliances. This is also known as mechanical or motor intelligence. It is the intelligence that has the relation with concrete objects or materials. It is the very ability of an individual to comprehend actual situations and to react to them adequately. The concrete intelligence is evident from various activities in our daily life. This type of intelligence is applicable when the individual is handling concrete objects or machines. Engineers, mechanics, and architects have this type of intelligence. In education, concrete intelligence is required in learning dances and participating in games and sports. This kind of intelligence is measured by performance tests and picture tests in which an individual is asked to manipulate concrete materials. Now, let us see what abstract intelligence is all about. Abstract intelligence, or ability to understand and deal with verbal and mathematical symbols. Abstract intelligence is the one that receives the greatest weight. Ability to manipulate symbols is abstract intelligence. It is the ability to respond towards numbers, letters, etc. All the tests of intelligence which require manipulation of symbols are the tests of abstract intelligence. In other words, abstract intelligence is revealed in verbal and numerical problems. We can see that it is the ability to understand words, numbers, and letters and use them effectively. Abstract intelligence is required in ordinary academic subjects in schools, such as reading, writing, and solving academic problems. The highest level of abstract intelligence is manifested in the thoughts of poets, philosophers, and writers, and other creative individuals. The highest level of abstract intelligence is manifested in the use of mathematical formula. Abstract intelligence indicates the ability to respond to words, numbers, formulas, diagrams, and letters, etc. An abstractly intelligent person is able to discover relations among symbols and to solve the various problems with the help of such aids, that is, with symbols, formulas, diagrams, letters, etc. Abstract intelligence is measured by most of the verbal tests, and abstract intelligence is partly a product of heredity and partly of environment. Concrete intelligence is measured by performance tests and to some extent by the tests involving pictures rather than words. In fact, although Thorndike has divided intelligence into three main categories, yet in real sense, all types are more or less interrelated. Some people may have more abstract intelligence than the mechanical and social intelligence, or some may have more mechanical intelligence than the abstract and social intelligence. Psychologists have found that abilities are positively related. The abstractly intelligent scientist may not be a skilled mechanic, but he or she is likely to be better than the average in mechanical sense and so forth. Students, to conclude, it becomes imperative to say that Thorndike did not believe in anything like general intelligence. There is no such factor as G, but a number of highly specific factors are there. Each intelligent behavior requires the operation of these specific factors acting together. Thus, Thorndike believed that highly specific factors of intelligences acting together in their permutations and combinations produce different intelligent behaviors. According to him, there is no general intelligence but a number of specific intelligences. Often, he has been criticized for propounding this atomistic theory of intelligence. Thorndike developed an intelligence test called CAVD test. The test consists of 4 parts: sentence completion, arithmetical reasoning, vocabulary, and following direction. He distinguished the 4 attributes of intelligence, that is level, which refers to the level of difficulty of a task that can be solved; range, that refers to a number of tasks at any given degree of difficulty; area, that refers to the total number of situations at each level to which the individual is able to respond; and speed, which is the rapidity with which we can respond to the items. Dear students, it was all for today, hoping that you might have enjoyed this session. Thanks.